You're in New York. You are famous, infamous, well-known for, I mean, just filleting Eric Adams on the Breakfast Club and on your, on your video streams, and really taking him to task, especially when it comes to the over-policing of New Yorkers, and all of this. And so, like, I need your reacts to Zohran Mamdani being mayor-elect. Eric Adams, no joke, is on his way to Israel, by the way.
Right now? That's what he's doing?
Like in the next week or something. Just give me New Yorker top line reacts to what this means for the city, and what you hope to see maybe under Zohran Mamdani.
It's amazing. I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like I don't know what to say other than just glee, like, oh, smiles. Everyone's like, oh, I want your thoughts, what your reaction. I'm like, I have nothing substantive, deep or long to say other than I could not be happier. Like, I couldn't be happier. And as I told the Vanguard, I would be happy if he can get a fraction, if Zohran Mamdani can get a fraction of the things that he wants to do done, that will be so much more than we have gotten out of the rest of these mayors. And I will be very happy with that. I said, I will be delighted just to see NYPD stop getting historic new deals, right? Like like, I will be excited not to see my mayor putting on NYPD vests to go with them to like act like, my Lord, the foolishness that we have experienced. I'll be happy to see somebody not violating the Constitution and having stop and frisk running around our communities. I'll be happy to see somebody who, let me say this about Zohran. He's genuinely impressive. And I say that as somebody who didn't just go like, oh, you seem great. I love you. I'm getting real behind you. I was somebody who really I liked Brad Lander, like as a comptroller. Like if you're in New York City, you know what Brad has done. A lot of the information that I was able to check Eric Adams on in that Breakfast Club interview came from Brad Lander's reports as comptroller in New York City. So Brad Lander is somebody who has like a demonstrated record that I really liked, and I really liked him. So I was very inclined to be full steam ahead, Brad. And I love me some Brad, and I love what they did in terms of cross endorsing, and he was my second on my slate. But when I interviewed Zohran and I asked him all the things and I talked to him, I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is the guy. This is the guy. I can't deny that this is the guy. So yeah, I love Zohran. I am so excited. I think he ran a campaign that was out of this world. I do think, what I will say is a substantive thing I will say, and I hope people take away, we should be singing the Working Families Party's praises. That's who I think we should be talking about, and who the national conversation should be about. Like, I think it's nice to have the conversation about, what Zohran's win means and whether or not it could mean something bigger for the Democratic Party at large and the rest of the country. But that's neither here nor there for me. What I do know definitively is that the Working Families Party has been doing what needs to be done, okay? We should be talking about Maurice Mitchell and the work they have been doing, because those have been getting the people we really need elected. So shout out to them, okay?
We just had Maurice on Thursday to talk about everything. I mean, and I think, he's amazing. And I do think that, like, going hand in hand, Working Families, DSA, pick your poison. And I'm excited. I'm going to talk to some folks from the DSA National Committee as well. But it is I was dubious. When they were like, we're going to, what is it? Don't rank evil Andrew Cuomo, like Dream or whatever. And we're going to all work together. But because I was like, oh man, I don't know. There's so many candidates.
No, can you really was perfect. It ate that shit up.
Right. And I was like, okay, no, they actually crushed this, and they were able to do the work to get that done, and to make, like you just said, make things like the Lander co-endorsement possible. So that is great. I want to ask you though, because we had Chris Robbins of Hellgate on 2 weeks ago. Your thoughts, we can talk about freezing the rent. We can talk about universal childcare, all that. But I do think, given, your work and some of the most glaring problems with Eric Adams and just where we are in the national conversation, we have to talk about policing. So thoughts on keeping Jessica Tisch as police commissioner? Chris Robbins seemed to think that it looks like a move that, de Blasio made as well, keeping the former police commissioner on, I can't remember their name, and that kind of bit him in the ass, especially as BLM popped off. What do you What do you think about all that?
So this is what I'll say. I'm generally hesitant to believe that you should keep on anybody from Eric Adams' administration. You know what I mean? I'm hesitant to think that is the move. However, I think I'll wait. I think I'm gonna hold. You know what I'd be like? I'm gonna reserve. I'll make a ruling on this later. I'm gonna see. Yeah. Because I have faith, honestly, thus far. I'm going to go based on precedent, and Zohran Mamdani thus far has shown me that he knows how to run a hell of a campaign and that he takes things seriously and that he has a good and sensible team around him. And I saw he just like unveiled his like transition team of all women that seem like to be sensible people who know what they're doing. So I'm going to give it a second and see, because I'm going to trust that there's some reasoning and logic like behind the scenes that the people who are paying more attention, these people know than me. I'll see. I'm inclined to think if it was me, I'd clear house. But I didn't run me no amazing campaign, and I'm not surrounded by a bunch of, you know what I mean, serious advisors. So I will reserve judgment on it for now. I'm gonna trust his judgment for now. Now, if he starts reviving NYPD defunct units for brutality, then Zohran, we gotta talk. But until then, I'll relax on him. I'll see.
No, I think that's very fair. And you know, he also had two big appointments, deputy mayor, who was actually deputy mayor under de Blasio, Dean Foulahan, who is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, who's like 74 years old, top aide, L. Biscard Church. I think that's a chief of staff, I believe. Yeah. So, and she's like a lot younger and I think ran his campaign and had never done anything like that. So yeah, you got to elevate someone who just handed you this incredible win. So it seems like there's a lot of, he's mixed. It's a mix. There's fresh energy. There's new energy. There's old sort of like time tested. I did, before we move on, want to say that the mainstream news is still freaking out. Still, like, Washington Post had to come out with an editorial, you know, op-ed piece, an editorial that just says Zohran Mamdani drops the mask. Mind you, 4 days. A new era of class warfare has begun in New York. No one is more excited than Generalissimo Zohran Mamdani. Like, what are we doing? Did Andrew Cuomo write this? Witness the mayor-elect's change of character since his Tuesday election victory. They go on.
Editorial board.
Yep, the whole editorial board. So, I mean, it's basically Bezos and his wife or whatever. Such crass appeals have real support in New York, where overpriced housing is a real problem. But it's important to recognize that high rents are a function of too much government rather than too little. Temporary relief because of rent freeze he promises for 2 million housing units will inevitably lead to less investment, driving up costs in the long run. Yes, nobody's invested in housing in New York. It's the least profitable thing you could possibly be invested in. They continue. They all basically were like, his speech was mean.
First of all, his speech was phenomenal. Oh my God. Immigrants run the city, pump it into my veins. Let's go. He said it. I swear to you, me and CJ were in the house like, oh, I love this speech. The speech was so good that I couldn't listen to it in one sitting. Like, it was too much energy. Yes. Like, I had to break it up. Like, give me a little bit before I crash out.
I was like filming. Everyone's just like wiping away tears. But again,
no, that ate like that ate on so many levels. I loved it. Okay, immigrants run the city. Immigrants built this city. Now we run the city.
It was so good. But again, you know, if you're a white billionaire, you know, that sounds hostile to you. Fairness sounds hostile to people with power and privilege. And so it's just crazy that, like, what's so obnoxious is that people still read the Washington Post. They read the New York Times. It says, Mamdani, this is not the editorial board, thank God. This is Binyam Applebaum who wrote, Mamdani isn't the future of the Democrats. This guy is. Who's this guy?
That guy?
Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Because he embraces his centrism. Here they go. They go to the The party has marginalized itself so thoroughly that even Mr. Trump's unpopular presidency isn't doing much to make Democrats more popular. Everything Democrats want to accomplish is downstream from figuring out how to persuade voters, like people in places like Pennsylvania. He goes, Mr. Shapiro's version of the Democratic Party is more patriotic than the GOP and in some senses more conservative. Ugh. It's a party that wants to improve public institutions rather than blowing them to smithereens and carrying forward the basic elements of the American experience. Blah, blah, blah. It's just a glaze piece. And where does he say he's basically like the centrism of Josh Shapiro, guy who didn't he refuse to be Kamala Harris's running mate because he was like,
he wanted to be. They chose Josh wanted to be, and she would have wanted Josh in a different line, but they thought Waltz would, be more appreciated than.
But I thought the intel on that, I thought like the last word was like Josh like kind of rolled in there like yes, like way too cocky, way too like, this is how's it going to be about me? Like that was what
I could see that. I read the book and it seems like in a different line, her first choice would have been Pete Buttigieg, but she knew she couldn't do that, and that's who she would have really wanted. And Josh was it was between Josh and Waltz, you know what I mean? And they decided like Waltz was the move, which he was,
Yeah, and then they put the tightest leash on him possible. But just this kind of stuff is still happening. These kind of editorials, this like, no. And look,
I think it's good. You know why I think it's good that it's happening? Because the media and these places have been awful for so many years. As somebody who like writes places and stuff, they never accept anything from progressive voices. They put the belt around you, everything you can't say. They don't want to hear it. They make it impossible. And so I think it's nice to see these places. Like we're at a time, and I think we're at a time now in America where you're seeing these places very clearly, and the prestige is dripping away from them. You don't see, when you see that, you see what the Washington Post really is. You see what the New York Times really is. You see what these places, and I think what you're going to see from watching MSNBC, all these different places, Claire House just capitulate to Trump, will not engage in any semblance of honest media. While it is unfortunate that it comes at the expense of people hearing the truth, it comes at the expense of people losing their jobs. What is forced, like being forced to happen, is that people are having to go independent. They're having to go independent to do the jobs, and you have to go independent to hear anything truthful. So I think when you see this, like the reality is this. They can talk all that they want. Zohran had a blowout win. So the majority of people saw sense, not just the leftists, not just the Gen Z, not just everybody. Okay, so everybody saw it clearly. So if you want to be out there on the island by your own, it's cool. And we know what it is. And so all you're doing is, there are a bunch of people paying attention right now. A bunch of people voted for Zohran, and a bunch of people are rooting for him across the country. So all those people are looking and are able to see when they maybe typically wouldn't. When those kinds of outlets are running their propaganda, you might miss it, but you see it now. And I think that that's good that people see what's happening, because I think you'll never see these kind of outlets have the kind of prestige and esteem and voice that they had. Like the New York Times endorsement will mean less eventually. The Washington Post endorsement and shit will mean less. So I say good. Keep talking and lose your credibility, and let's change the times where we respect independent media more.
I love that take. I support that take. I mean, look, this is a time when like a bunch of writers are boycotting New York Times. Miss Rachel was like, who, of course, again, in this house we support, was like, everyone, cancel your subscription to the New York Times. They're terrible on Gaza. And, they're not allowed to say words like slaughter to describe what is a slaughter. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.